bar graphs. Our objective here, fairly simple. We want to construct a bar graph. Well, first off, what is a bar graph? Okay, also called a bar plot or a bar chart. It's a graph drawn using rectangular bars to show how large each value is. And we can show how large based upon the frequency. We can also show how large based upon the relative frequency, which we saw in previous lectures. The bars can be horizontal or vertical. The bars are equal width, and the bars in a bar graph do not touch one another because the data is qualitative. For like in our previous video, wrist, back, etc. So these bars do not touch each other. You can use side-by-side bar graphs to compare these data. In these cases, usually the sets do touch each other. And another word for you, the vocabulary word is called a Pareto chart. It's a bar graph whose bars are drawn in, decreasing order of frequency or relative frequency. So if we're going to go in decreasing order, we'll see the highest bars and then they'll go down, and that's called a Pareto chart. Okay, let's take a look at an example, and then let's have StatCrunch do some work for us. The data in the table below represent the educational attainment in 1990 and in 2017 of adults 25 years and older who are residents of the U.S. And this data is located in StatCrunch 2.1 Table 4. The data are in thousands. So, for adults in 1990, for adults 25 years and older who are residents in 1990, 39,344 of the sample were not a high school graduate. In 2017, that number dropped, according to this, from 39,000 to 26,000 approximately. And then you can see our categories: not a high school graduate, or a high school graduate, some college, associate's degree, bachelor's degree, and graduate degree. And here are the totals for the number of people they looked at in these 2 years. Let's use StatCrunch. And it's going to be the graph bar plot with summary to create a relative frequency bar graph for the year 1990. And we'll do the same thing for the year 2017. Okay, so I'm going to go into StatCrunch. All right, and we're going to make bar graphs with StatCrunch. Not a whole lot of need to do these by hand. Chapter 2, here's Table 4. And again, my iPad looks a little different than what you may have as you pull this up on a laptop. Okay, so here we are. I probably can open, can I open this up a little bit? I probably can, the educational attainment, Maybe I can't, I thought I could, maybe, yeah, I gotta go up here. Well, let's get rid of this. Get that down. Nope, sorry about that. Okay, I'm gonna go back and start again. All right. I want to get rid of that. I tried to do something here. Okay, so we can see that this column is not showing us all. We can open this up, but my fingers aren't doing it here. But there's your not a high school, some college, associates. And here's the data for 1990 and 2017. Let's make a relative frequency bar graph for 1990. Okay, so go to graph, and then choose bar plot. And then we want to go with summary because the data is already summarized for us. Our categories are the educational attainment. We're going to look at the counts in 1990 first. Okay, we want to make a relative frequency. It's defaulting to frequency, so make a relative frequency. And again, I like to order by the worksheet. Notice if I choose order by value descending, that's the Pareto chart. I'm going to organize by the worksheet. And it's also nice to display the values above the bar so we know exactly what the values are. So here we are. I'm going to go ahead and go to compute. And there you have it. You can see that those that are not a high school graduate, the relative frequency is 0.248. I'm sure that's rounded. We know that that's the percent as a decimal. The percent would be 24.8%. Mine, you can open yours up. Mine doesn't show enough room to get all the category names in here, but you can do that with yours, with your window, and come up and get all the categories. But here are all your relative frequencies for these various educational attainment categories for 1990. I'm going to go to options and edit because it said to do the same thing for 2017. So I'll leave everything and I'll say, hey, I want you to look for the data that's in the 2017 column, and we'll compute that. And you can see how it changed. Not a high school graduate has now gone to a relative frequency of 0.12. We've dropped here from 0.3 to 0.271, and then other changes along the way. So that is how you create I think you could also create a frequency. You could do a frequency as well. And there's your frequency. We kept the data above, and that should match the data we have. The relative frequency generally, I think most people, the percentage tends to make more sense than just a pure number when you're speaking about it. One other thing I'll mention, so I'll go back to the sheet here. StatCrunch is not able to create a side-by-side relative frequency bar graph. You'll have to look at one and then the other, and then create your own. Unfortunately, it can create side-by-side frequency bar graphs, and it uses graph chart columns to do that. I will show you that briefly, although that's not overly popular, but it'll give you a look at how side-by-side works. Let's go back to the table. Okay, and I'm going to go now to graph. I'm going to choose chart, which is, on mine is this one right here. And I'm going to choose columns. Okay, select the columns. I can select both of them. Okay. Row labels, order. Okay, it defaulted to worksheet. This is doing a horizontal bars. That should work. Let's see what this gets to me. Whoops, I didn't want to see it that way. That's what I thought. I wanted to see it with vertical. So let's do vertical bars. It defaulted to horizontal, and this tends to be more what we're used to. So here we have the educational attainment, and so 1990 is here with its frequency close to 40,000, and then 2017 is here. So here's the side-by-side where the categories of bars don't touch, but when it comes to the two subcategories, 1990 and 2017, they do touch. So that's one way. Not very popular, but that's how StatCrunch does side-by-side. It only does a frequency. You'll have to do the side-by-side relative frequencies by hand.